While at Playa Nicuesa, I signed up for what they call the river tour. They took us on a boat up Golfo Dolce, which means sweet gulf, to a river that empties into the Gulf. And then we sailed up the river. Well, not sailed, we motored up the river. And then we got into kayaks, and then we kayaked down the river. Now, this river has a mangrove forest. It has both red and white mangroves. And during part of the trip, we took a side tributary in the mangrove forest and kayaked up it, and then found beautiful native orchids that were hanging on vines over the little tributary. And our guide, Omar, who you will see telling us about the mangrove forest, found several vines which had fallen into the river and the orchids were going to drown. So he picked them up, he yanked them into his kayak, and then we traveled until we hit dry ground or almost solid ground. I actually beached my kayak and had trouble getting back into the water. And he then took those vines covered in orchids and leaned them up against a tree or in on the boughs of a tree so that the orchids could survive. And during that time, we did take one small piece from the vine off, and we're going to take it back to Playa Nicuesa and plant it on one of the trees there.
Like branches hold by roots and more like laying. Then we will see behind this line, in front of us, we can see a tallest canopy. That's another red mangrove species of Rhizophora racemosa. And now this kind of environments, mangrove forests in Costa Rica are protected. But in the past, people used them for making charcoal, mainly charcoal here in Costa Rica. In some ethnobotanics, well, how do you call that? Like in some other places, cultures, they are still using mangroves as a medicine resource for treating diabetes, drinking tea, or with some other purposes, but like dyeing color. That's why the name red mangrove.
Now, I don't have any video of us finding the orchids on the tributary or during the kayaking part because I didn't have water protection for my phone, and it was pretty wet, and I did not want to destroy my phone by accidentally dropping it off the kayak or having it get splashed. So you'll have to just enjoy some of these views of the river with my voiceover, and afterwards I will have bits of how we went around and Guerilla planted orchids around Playa Nicuesa. So this is the part of the river where we stopped and got into our kayaks. You can see that it's very different biologically. A lot of this land has been cleared and farmed. Some of it is turning back into tropical rainforest, but you can see that it's just very different than the mangrove forest that was viewable before. This is the piece of the panties. What's really interesting about this is if you look at it, you can see that this is actually the underside of the leaves. So when it was on the vine, it's actually like this. So you can see this is the top of the leaves right here. And this is quite a mature piece. You can see all these spent bloom spikes on it right here. So we are gonna mount this on one of Omar's trees at Playa Nicuesa. This orchid, which is actually starting to look a little sad now, is not the same There's this, which I believe is a maxillaria. So there's them side by side. As we're walking around, Omar found another one that had fallen from a tree, and it's different from the ones we've seen before. And I still don't know what kind it is. This is Trigonidium Haratonianum. Okay, this is us putting orchids everywhere, using all natural materials like leaves. It's like guerrilla orchid planting. This area is by a little creek of brackish water that dumps out into the ocean, which you can hear in the background. I'm hoping there'll be enough humidity here for them. Though it's very humid in the air here. Okay, this piece was actually grown into a mushroom, which are now breaking apart, so we won't be planting fungus onto the tree. Yeah, looks good. And there we have it. All of them are planted. And here is that little Lacanthes. We put it here on this trunk on the way to the yoga deck. And this is the same trunk that has those little, well, it's fading already, but yellow flowers. It's right here. And the other one did open up. So there's that one. Here's the other spot where we put down or put on the orchids that had fallen to the ground. So here's a Masdevallia. Here's something, I don't know what it is. People can ID it, let me know. And then down here on the bottom of the trunk is another one.